Hey everybody, it's Paul Harris with Blackhawk Recruiters here in sunny California. How are you doing? I hope you're doing well. As you may know, I run an executive search firm that specializes in the telecom infrastructure space and kind of everything that spins around that. And last week was one of the biggest trade shows in our industry. Of course, I'm talking about GSMA, Mobile World Congress, CTIA, all joined together. And this was the second time that that Mobile World Congress / CTIA was co-located together and under the management of GSMA. Last year was the first time they did it, and that was in the San Francisco Bay Area. This one was actually in Los Angeles at the LA Convention Center, September 12th through 14th. Like I said, a lot of people there, 22,000 people, 400 speakers, 1,000 different exhibitors, 220 media / analyst folks from 110 different countries. So it was a great show. In the next couple minutes, I'm going to try to do my best to make sure if you weren't there, you kind of know who the speakers were, what they talked about, and kind of some of the bigger themes. So great show. On the downside, the only downside was the tower for the second year in a row. No tower and small cell summit. No tower and small cell pavilion. Freaks me out that they don't have that there, but anyways, I'm not running the show. So let me start with a few of the speakers and kind of what they talked about. Matt's Granryd from GSMA talked about by 2025 there's going to be 1.3 billion 5G connections. FCC Commissioner Brendan Carr talked about basically how the USA is behind China in terms of our 5G densification rollout. Since 2015 through present, China has 350,000 small cell and densification 5G deployments, whereas the United States has only got 300. But he talked about the good point is that they're doing a lot, and they are doing a lot, to kind of speed up regulation, kind of what's the impediments that are slowing the rollouts down, and what they say is things are going to be done 6 times faster. So that's good news there. Commissioner Michael O'Reilly was there. He led a panel on international spectrum and 5G. Meredith Attwell Baker from CTIA. She talked about how at this time next year there'll be 50 cities in the United States with 5G. There was a big showing from Verizon, which is sometimes, not a lot of the bigwigs from Verizon show up these places, but Nicki Palmer was there, Ronan Dunne was there talking about 5G and how it's going to be as revolutionary as, the wheel, electricity, the computer, etc. So obviously a very, very big deal. Fuetsch, who's the CTO from AT&T, he was there and had a little teeny controversy when he talked about AT&T being, I think the quote was something like, they are fixated on fixed, right? Whereas he's saying AT&T is fixated more on fixed and mobile. David Cristopher from AT&T was there talking about the future of mobile is video and the future of video is mobile, right? So I think we would all agree with what's going on with that. Marcelo Claure and John Saw from Sprint were there talking about T-Mobile's, talking about the $2.6 billion merger and how it's going to lead to lower costs for the consumer, etc. Sunil Bhartit from GSMA was there talking about basically how the regulators are taxing the heck out of everything that we do in this industry, and they need to kind of calm it down. Those are not quotes, but that was basically the flavor of it. Need a little more respect for what we do in this industry, I think is what he was getting at. Neville Ray, obviously from the CTO from T-Mobile, talked about T-Mobile's plans to improve the network with backhaul and small cell as they get ready to launch 5G. Rajeev Suri from Nokia talking about how 5G is going to be able to drive different efficiencies. Tim Baxter, the CEO from Samsung, talking about basically bringing 5G is going to bring fiber to your pocket. So basically fiber to your cell phone, basically. From Boingos, David Hagan and Peterson were there talking about how everything used to be about download speeds, but now when people go to a concert and whatnot and they want to say, hey, dear friends, look at me, I'm at this concert or whatever, they want to send that out there. So now the upload speeds are so important, and that is what 5G is going to be able to let them do more efficiently and more effectively. Erik Ekudden, the SVP from and CTO from Ericsson, was there as well. Some of the things the themes that were just talked about in general, you guys. So GSMA report came out and it talked about the integration of 5G, about three things: 5G, AI and IoT. So 5G, artificial intelligence, and then of course IoT, bringing what there's called intelligent connectivity, right? Other stuff, so the other things you can imagine, right? Connected car, slash autonomous vehicles, industrial and vehicular automation, remote medical surgery, advancements in AR, VR, cloud and edge computing, etc. I'd say probably the biggest news that came out of the event was Verizon's commercial launch of their 5G fixed 5G service called 5G Home, and they're launching that October 1st in Houston, Indianapolis, Los Angeles, and Sacramento. Let's talk about by this time next year, all the carriers are going to be in some sort of phase of fixed and mobile 5G deployments. Talk about the cable guys getting into wireless, right? So Comcast and Charter are now MVNOs for Verizon, as you know, and then Altus is going to be MVNO for Sprint. Let's talk about LEO satellite world, so the low Earth orbit world, OneWeb, SpaceX, Boeing, etc., and what they're going to be doing to bringing internet coverage to underserved areas. I would call in the MIA category, right, the missing in action category, not a lot of talk, surprisingly, about Charlie Ergen and Dish Network's, nationwide 5G build and how much money they're spending and how they're already buying space on towers and buying equipment for their narrowband IoT network. So that was kind of interesting. Let's talk about AT&T joining with Samsung and CommScope for CBRS deployments. Then there's just a bunch of other stuff that are kind of to get you up in terms of what's going on if you've been on vacation or whatever. Say obviously AT&T launching their mobile 5G in 19 different cities in the coming months. FCC asking for more time for the review the T-Mobile Sprint merger. T-Mobile and Ericsson and their $3.5 billion deal to migrate from LTE to 5G. Obviously, T-Mobile and Crown kind of getting more cozy with each other and continuing that great relationship they have with each other. And then something that's kind of relates to not so much wireless or telecom infrastructure, but kind of the show, and that is that the iPhone. So Apple came out with 3 new iPhones right before Mobile World Congress, and I think maybe kind of took some of the limelight or the steam out of some of the other rollouts of different handsets that were going to be planned to roll out at Mobile World Congress, because they kind of did it first, basically. So anyways, you guys, that's kind of a real quick download of what happened, who spoke, etc. I hope that you found it helpful. If you weren't able to make it, like I said, my goal is to make sure you felt like you were there and kind of knew what happened from a speaker's perspective and topic perspective. Where I'm going to be next for what show, I can't remember at the moment, but I will definitely be reporting after that. Thanks so much. I hope you have a great day. Bye-bye.